Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening to wherever you might be watching this on this absolutely wonderful fine planet we live on. Before I get started today, I'm going to do that smash thing on the buttons. Just do that all now to get that over and done with. And remember, if you get in 2 or 3 minutes in, you don't like it, just unsmash it. But come in, first thing, smash, move on. I'm not going to talk a lot today, not really. I've got a few things that I want to just point out and address, mayhaps. But I just started off with the sound's probably going to be a bit ordinary because it's raining where I am, and I'm living under a dome. Like literally, I'm living under a dome between 2 sea containers. So just to go through, I built this. Like I didn't obviously build the sea containers, and I didn't build the dome, like not literally, but I put it together with help from some friends, and then I put 2 slightly skillioned roofs, which is slightly angled roofs, on the sea containers with the dome in between, a little bit like my head. Since I built those, we haven't had any rain. Now, we live in a rural part of Australia, and we rely on rainwater for our drinking water and everything. It's all rainwater. So I got a 23,000 litre water tank put in and bought 10,000 litres worth of water, and that was delivered by a truck, and then built all these roofs over the sea containers and to hopefully catch water. Now, I've never had it tested. So 3 or 4 days ago we got down to probably maybe 3,000 litres left in the tank from the 10,000 we bought. And I said to my wife, I go, babe, I think I'm going to have to buy some water. She said, okay, see how you go. And then I thought, I looked at the weather forecast, the windy.com app. That's a good app if you want to get a good weather forecasting app. That's Windy. I'm not sponsored, just saying. And I said, well, there's rain coming, and we've gone tut. The rain's supposed to be coming for the last 3 weeks, and it never did. But this time it did come, right? And on the first day, down about 3,000 litres left in the tank to probably 6,000 litres, which I thought was awesome. So that was about 5 mil of rain. So it wasn't a lot. The next day, like no rain, but that night, around about 4 o'clock, maybe a bit earlier, maybe 3:30, it started to rain really heavily. And I'm going, my God, it's raining, it's getting really heavy. And probably around 6:30, so maybe 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours at the most into that rain, I said to my wife, I said, babe, I'm going to go out and check what the water tank's doing because, I just want to know where it is. And it was almost full. Now, for those of you who understand that, that's about 17 to 18,000 litres of water come off the catchment of my roofs, off the 2 sides of the sea container and the dome, in a matter of hours. So I'm looking at that and going, that is just absolutely awesome. Like all of that worry I had about whether the water we were going to, any rain would catch me is just gone, it's blown out. So I just go, wow, that's fantastic. And then I came in and told my wife I actually had to put an overflow pipe in, which I didn't think I was going to need to do. And that's redirected now, so it's not going to wear away the grass and the dirt. And I said to my wife, it's done, like we've got a full tank. And she was blown away as well, which was really cool. And she said to me, wow, you must be so proud of yourself for building a wonderful roof. And she said this to me a fair bit, and I guess it's in the vocabulary, and there's no disrespect in it at all, but I said, no, babe, I'm really happy with the work that I've done. She said, why aren't you proud? And she's asked this a few times. I said, well, because I don't believe I should be proud of myself. But I'm really, really grateful that you're proud of me. I believe people say they're proud of themselves because they've got an ego issue with that and that they don't have someone else who can be proud of them. Like, I'm just so grateful that my wife's proud of me for the things that I've done around here, the house or the caravan that I've built for her. I'll show you a picture of that one day. And I'd love for my daughter to be proud of me for what I've done as a father and as a martial artist, maybe, just how I've got to where I've got over my years. So pride is one of those things that I think you must have, or you don't must have. It'd be nice if you had it for someone else, that you could be proud of someone and the achievements they've made. But those people only need to be content or happy with the effort they've put in, not to say they're proud of themselves, because I think there's a bit of ego in that. So I guess where this is heading today is I want to talk a little bit about ego and what I perceive the ego to be. And, you know, it's just that. And I had a conversation yesterday and it sort of led towards ego, and I think that's just part of a lot of conversations of people who have a like mind. And I think we came to the understanding that ego is a part of our life, and we need to understand that ego is a part of our life and that we need to keep it in check, because the ego it's a powerful thing that can work for good and for evil. So, or good and bad. I don't like the word evil. But let's put this in for me. I see ego as a necessary part of my life, and every aspect of that is important to me. So if I say something like, I'm a good martial artist, well, that's ego. I'm a bad martial artist, well, that's ego too. But that's the positive and the negative aspect of ego. If someone says to me, you're a good martial artist, I'll go, thank you. If someone says to me, you're a bad martial artist, I'll go, oh, that's unfortunate you think that. So neither of my responses to other people's comments is driven by ego, other than, okay, that's your opinion, I really don't care. When I start to say things about myself, like, I could have been a better martial artist if I did A, or if I trained a bit harder, I might have been able to do this. That's all ego. And where the ego has the negative aspect of ego is the part that saves you from or being observant of danger, because you want to protect yourself. I need to be more aware, I need to be a little anxious or cautious, otherwise I might fall down that canyon or fall off the cliff or get eaten by a dingo, coyote, lion, tiger, whatever. That's the anxiety side of ego. The positive side of ego says, it's all good. You know, it's all good. I think the world is fantastic. I think the world's a happy place. That's ego. That's still ego. Right? So I guess in a short metaphor, I believe that I animate this physical body I'm in, the spirit of David, which is separate to the ego. It's the spirit of David. And it is me. It is part of the greater consciousness. It is great. It is part of the source energy. I'm part of that. I'm not separate from that, like, at all. Maybe I am. That might have been ego. Right? So I could be. But I think because I'm questioning whether I am or not, then I'm actually aware of the ego and I'm keeping it in check. And that's what we're going to get to. So my metaphor of the car, this is my car. No one can start it but me. Like, no hot wiring, none of that. No one has a key but me. So the spirit of me, the essence that makes me, which is not David, not physical David or emotional David or logical David, it's the spirit of the energy that doesn't have a name. It is the universal energy. It is the source that comes into this physical being. And it experiences this physical being by being in this physical being. Like, no one else can experience this being but this being. No, my wife can't. She's the closest to me than anybody, except for maybe my brother. And they can't experience this being. Only I can. So in saying that, the spirit that's in this, then I'm going to call it David because I identify as that spirit, drives the vehicle that I'm in. So using it in the metaphor of the vehicle, David, starts the car, animates the vehicle. It starts to run. Now, what makes it run is the running gear. So that goes from the radiator all the way down to the rear diff, because I have a rear-wheel drive V8 supercar, and all the stuff that runs underneath it. Now that's the ego, that's the mind. Now the external part of that, which is this part, that's the body. So the mind, the ego, which is the one and the same thing, the spirit, which is here, not heart, because that's just an organ, but a little bit lower, I don't know exactly where. It feels like to me solar plexus, maybe, something like that. And the body are the Holy Trinity. That's the mind, the body, and the soul. Spirit, source, God, whatever you want to call it, don't care. But the source, the spirit, the universe, is, it's still that experience of the being inside of this body that animates it to make it go. Now the ego, the mind, and the spine, the central nervous system and organs, that's the running gear. Now, that's a necessary part of this vehicle. Like without those, the vehicle's irrelevant. The vehicle will not travel. It will not go anywhere. Now you can lose a hubcap, which means I can lose a finger, or I can't live without a liver. Well, maybe you can. I don't know. I'm not a medical person. I can drop myself down to a quarter of a kidney, but I still got a functioning something. I can't be without a heart. And they can artificially pump it, but that makes that a heart. It's still something pumping the blood. If my brain's dead, then I can still live, but I can't do anything. So it's like the engine blowing up in the car. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that what makes the vehicle of this vehicle that I'm in, complete vehicle, are the three things. Like the mind, the body, and the spirit. Or the source or soul, again. Whatever you want to call it. So the ego is that drivetrain. It is that thing that makes it run. And the ego is necessary. It is a compulsory part of this vessel that we travel in. Yours, mine, everybody's. So we need to keep in check what is happening with that vehicle. So that means, and the running gear, I should say, not the vehicle. So obviously I look after the outside of the vehicle. I polish it, I keep it clean. I go to the gym, I buff up a little bit. Go out into the sun every day. For a couple of hours and get good sun, like the vitamin D on my body, because you can't get that from anywhere else. Maybe supplements if you live in those places that don't get a lot of sun. Don't get burnt, of course, that's just silly. No sunscreen, because that's putting toxin on the top of the vehicle that's not going to help it get better. So I look after the external part, which is the body. I look after the drivetrain, the internals, the mind, the nervous system, the organs, by eating the food that's suitable to this vehicle, putting the right food in, and keeping in check of the engine, like tuning it, and making sure the timing's fine, and the oil's right, and the coolant's good, and all that sort of stuff. And they're all the thoughts that we feed ourselves. So I guess the fuel system, which is part of that running gear, needs to be the right fuel system. Now, there are people out there that are, and I use the vehicle metaphor still, they run on the unleaded fuel. And that's all they need to run. They don't need to run on high premium, high octane fuel. But there are some vehicles that do need to run on high octane fuel. And where you can probably put high octane fuel in a vehicle that doesn't need it, that doesn't use it, like a car that, like a mini miner, an old mini miner, that can just run on unleaded. It doesn't need high performance fuel, but you can still put it in. And it may run a little bit better. But I guarantee if you put low octane fuel into a high octane vehicle, it's going to cough and splutter and it's not going to run. So me as the driver of the vehicle have got to make sure that I'm putting the right fuel into it. And that's obviously the same as a high octane fuel, which makes my supercar run really, really well, would kill my diesel truck, because you can't run high octane fuel into diesel. And again, you can't run diesel in a high octane vehicle. So you do need to understand your vehicle enough to know what sort of fuel it needs to run at its peak. So please be aware of that. So it goes back to diet. We talked about the last video about the carnivore. If you know you thrive on vegetables and fruit, then God, by all means eat vegetable and fruit. But don't be an arse and talk badly about people that that have to eat meat, because they're a high performance vehicle, not a low source vehicle. And same as that, go to the gym, don't go to the gym, don't care. You know what your body needs, and then you need to listen to that. All right? Don't listen to that ego part of the body that says you can do it, get fit by watching a chair yoga Cheeto and doing that on a chair for a month and being buff, because that's just an illusion. That's the ego trying to believe you can get something for nothing. As for the motor, if you don't keep it in tune, it's not going to work. So you need to feed your mind with the things that are going to help you on your journey. And that's probably the journey to remembering. And that's where the ego is a very valuable tool. But it is also a detrimental tool. You've got to be aware of when the ego is saying negative things to you, and also when the ego is blowing wind up your own arse to make you sound like you're better than you really truly are. So they're both as dangerous as each other. The tick-tock of that, of blowing wind so far up your own butt that you think you're better than you are, and also the one that says it sucks the wind out of you so you don't live your life. They're both dangerous, both ego. So be aware of it. Be aware of the ego and the game that it's playing on you, because it is slowing you down. It's necessary. You must have ego. You must have it. Again, if you don't have an ego, you're not a little anxious or a little concerned or worried, dare I say even have a little bit of fear, you'll do stupid ass things and end up dead. And that's not where the journey's needing to lead you. Unless you're a nihilist, and of course that's where the journey's going to lead you anyway. But the reality be, your ego motivates you and slows you down at the same time, which is the push me, pull you, and you've got to rein that in. You as the driver of a vehicle have got to be aware of it and rein it in. So be aware of that. And remembering is our goal. And I think, and some people use it as atonement, and atonement not in the necessary biblical or religious atonement, going to church on a Sunday and Hail Mary, whatever. That's not what it means. In my life, atonement is recognising where you come from as a spirit being, as you are all. We are all. Everything here is part of the source, and the universe. It's all the same thing. The table that I'm leaning on, the fridge that I get my drink from, or the food that I eat, the people that I see. Break it down to its barest essence. It's an energy, and it's vibrating at a different level, and we are no different, and neither is anything inanimate or animate. We are all part of the same source energy. So we've got to remember that, and I think that's part of the goal. But as a spirit being in a physical or a person driving a vehicle, why I'm on this path, I guess, of remembrance is my daughter was born 28 years ago, a bit over 28, nearly. She's in the 29th year. I was on a path before that, and an unknowns to me what sort of path it was. Like I'd read lots of books about spirituality and processes and where things are going. Teaching a martial art and meditating takes you to a different place as well, and I'm absolutely blessed. I feel blessed by that journey for me, the martial art and meditation journey. So when my daughter was born, the experience was life-changing. And I know everyone says that, but I mean this like unbelievably life-changing. I held her within minutes of her coming into this world, and I looked into her eyes, and I said to the mother of my daughter then, I just said, her name, it's Emma. And she said, oh, why? I go, I don't know. It just is. And then I looked at her deeply, and I actually fell in love. And I don't want you to take that to a place that it doesn't need to go, but the love I felt from her was indescribable. It was infinite. There was no limit to what she was giving. There's not one word, not even 1,000 words could describe to you what feeling I got from that being at that point in time. It was unbelievable. It was overwhelming. It actually, it took my breath away, like literally took my breath away. And I only had it for a short time, and it was just, I didn't want to let her go. It was like I wanted that. And I gave her over to the nurse who washed her and bathed her, and they did a few of those after birth tests, and gave it to then the mother of my daughter, and I got her again back within half an hour. She went to her half brother, and I got her back, and she was different. She'd changed. She had lost that radiance and that all-knowingness. Like she knew everything before she was taken, and I like to believe, and this is the ego part that helps me through these moments, is I was open to receive that love. I was open to receive that opportunity to understand what our goal is, and that was to atone and to remember. And when I got her again and she was different, it didn't shatter that for me. It just gave me more drive to strive to remember. So I think that's really important, that striving to remember. So just to finish on that with my daughter, it wasn't until, you find out, why did we call her Emma, and what is the meaning of Emma? And again, may all the gods known to all the mans ever and ever have been and ever will be strike me dead where I'm sitting. Emma means universal one. And it just freaked me out, hey. That experience of having her, feeling this radiance, this all-knowingness, this absolute joy, and then her name's Emma. It was just like, it was a given, that's what it was. Again, just reinforced into me that the journey is the journey to remember, and nothing else. And everything else we do is about striving for that journey to remember. And I want to work myself to that as much as I possibly can. And I like to share what I can with people. And even in the jovial side of things, it's all around that striving goal to remember. And it's all leading me down these paths, and why I've been saying these things in the last couple of videos about the Bible and the New and the Old Testament and Adam and Eve and women and all that sort of stuff. Like, I still am a strong believer in Gus and Gaia, as in the father and the mother, and without the spirit of Gus, Gaia couldn't grow anything. Without Gaia, Gus is irrelevant, and that comes back down to man and woman. Again, it's the same. It's like bringing the outside area into the reality of without man, woman couldn't grow life. It's impossible. But without a woman, men are irrelevant. So I think that's the reality that we need to come to terms with, an understanding of that it can't be a separate issue. We are not separate. We have to be joined and together to make it go. Now, we can go down the Sodom and Gomorrah path of promiscuity and open sex and all the other things that you want to put in this, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone who chooses that path, because go for it. We know from biblical history what happens when that lets run free. But the only way that we can survive as a species, and this is not just, it is not just us, really, literally, it's all mammals. Like, every mammal thrives and survives by masculine and feminine getting together to procreate and make a life. And I don't know anywhere in nature, maybe you can, if you've got an idea where it is, in mammalian nature, where two female of a species can have a offspring without a male. I don't know that you can do that. Like, two females can have a male and impregnate one of them, and then they can run off with whatever's left and do with it whatever they will. They can do it that way, but they still need the male to impregnate one of them. But there's definitely no way the male of a species can have an offspring without a female. It's just obvious. And you can argue the fact that two male chimpanzees get together and hold hands and whatever they want to do with each other, and then they get a female to have a little chimpanzee, then they both nurture it and suckle it and they make it grow. I just don't know that it happens anywhere in mammalian life. I just don't think it's there anywhere. Like, no, there's no questioning two male chimpanzees could probably raise a little chimpanzees, like, no worries. But it's not going to be well-rounded and balanced. It's missing an important ingredient, and that's the female chimpanzee. And the same with the female and female lion can have a male impregnate and then run off with their offspring, and they can possibly raise that so long as it wants to grow soft and not hunt like a male. That's not necessarily true in lions. Better use a different metaphor, but you know what I mean. So it's do what you like, guys. I really don't care. But if we want this world to progress and the nations to go on, we've got to have more male-female relationships and more children. Like, it's pretty simple. But anyway, that's getting back to that, remembering where we come from and the understanding of the balance of left and right. And without the left, there is no right, because there's nothing to compare it to. You can't have good without evil, because you'd never understand what good was if there's no evil to compare it to. You can't do it. You'd never understand up if there was no down. They have to be there. Male, you can't have two ups unless you're playing the game on Anzac Day. Different thing altogether. But I think you're getting what I'm saying. It is just the binary balance. You are male, you are female, you are left, you are right, you're up or you're down. This is the way it is. And I think we need to get back to that remembrance of that and bring that back into the understanding of how we grow as a species, digressing away from remembering. So I guess, which is what these things do anyway, they sort of naturally go off on a path and tangents and different lines. But I guess bring it back. Ego is necessary. Understand your ego. Understand when it is talking to you and rein it in, positively and negatively. And remember that you are bigger than your physical being. You are just the thing that animates your body. That's it. You are the source, you are the energy, you are the universe, you are whatever, God, Allah, Buddha, I don't care what you call it. I'm just going to keep it down to the source or to the universal energy. You are it. And there is something bigger and better and greater than you are. And you've got to learn. Sorry, rephrase that. You don't got to do shit. It would be really advantageous if we all tried to remember it. And then we would do the one commandment that is only the commandment we need to follow. And everything of the last couple of weeks has got me in the mind of saying and understanding this is the further away you are from the source, the more rules are put in place and the more commandments there are. So the one that we need to follow, the one commandment of Jesus Christ, and I'm not going to use it necessarily in his words, I'll paraphrase it to my words, is strive to be at one with your God, whatever you conceive or perceive it to be, and treat everyone the way you want to be treated. That's it. And really, honestly, you could probably take the first part of that commandment out. Because if you treat everybody the way you want them to treat you, then you are automatically striving to be at one with the source. So just by saying that is sort of irrelevant, isn't it? So really, really respect, and the only commandment you need to follow, in my ego mind telling you, is just treat people the way you want to be treated. Really, that's it. So on that note, remember this. And of course, peace, love and mung beans. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy your journey. And I'll be talking at you again really soon. And before I do that, be good.